The time I was petty during my boss's divorce. So, story time. Around the end of 2017, my boss's wife went through a midlife crisis and decided to have an affair and move out of their house. Divorce proceedings were initiated shortly after. In the following March, there was an incident between the two of them that necessitated court intervention, and they had to meet some requirements as a result. One of those requirements was for her to walk around the house and make a list of all the items that were hers. Cue pettiness on her part. Boss's lawyer stated that, in my 20 years of law practice, I have never seen a list this petty. Half of the dish towels, half of the paper plate holders, half of the pots, the curtains in the lounge, etc., etc. You get the idea. She made sure she got half of everything. However, my boss did not allow her to come into the house herself to pack, as she had spent the previous 5 months stealing out of the house at every opportunity, and he didn't trust her to pack only her belongings. So he made me do it. Small company, nothing else really for me to be doing, so I dutifully started collating her belongings. This is where the pettiness comes in. She requested one saucepan. I shook both, and one had a loose handle. She got that one. She asked for the curtains in the lounge, but she didn't ask for the curtain hooks. So I took all of those out. Half of the dish towels? She got all the grotty, mismatched ones, not the nice red set. Are half of the containers in the storage room empty? She never specified that she wanted the contents, so she got empty containers. I did this for the entire list, ensuring that I was as petty as possible when packing up the house. The result. Part 1. Once she took all her stuff, she sent a very long letter via her lawyer, stating that what she received was not what was listed in her belongings. We painstakingly went through the entire list, explaining that she received exactly what was written on her list, and we couldn't possibly be at fault since she wasn't specific enough. Part 2. They finalized their divorce at the end of 2019. Every now and then, we still receive stray emails asking us to return items she didn't provide back in 2018. It makes my petty heart burn bright, knowing that she tried to be a bitch about taking things, and I turned it back on her and ruined it by being extra petty. Edit. I did not behave like this in a vacuum. I did not screw over a kindly woman that I didn't know. No, I'm not dating or married to my boss. I can't believe I have to say this, but not every woman in a divorce is the good party, and women can be evil, narcissistic people, just like men. Divorce brings out the worst in people. I'm my boss's personal assistant, and it's my job to read his emails. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Edit 2. I won't be responding to any further comments, mostly for my own sanity. I've answered most of the questions in other comments, and I want to go outside and touch grass for a bit. Relevant comments. Stang of 150 commented, OP, the question is, did your boss know how petty you were? If so, what did he think about it? OP replied, yes. He started to follow along once he realized what I was doing. He wasn't too pleased with her behavior after dragging her to court on phony assault charges several times. Besides, he's a very, very busy person, and so having me pack everything actually did help him take some of the load off. I will say this, as part of the pettiness, I did know which items she wanted, but if it wasn't explicitly specified in the court documents, which included her list, I deliberately packed the items I knew she didn't want. Skuntfuggle commented, did your boss make a habit of roping you into their personal errands? OP replied, does. It's part of the job description. I fetch his kids from school at least twice a week when he has them. Do their homework. Sometimes I fend off the ex-wife. Occasionally I don't need to due to his amazing partner doing that for me. But it's all part of the do what tasks need doing job that I have. Cop eating, Donut commented, like a Devil Wears Prada kind of thing? The very busy leads me to believe a person like that with a calendar person, a secretary, an assistant, etc. OP replied, all of the above. It's a small business, so I have to do a lot of jobs. The jobs aren't enough to warrant hiring a whole other person, so the result is that I happen to have a very diverse range of things I do. But yes, the primary job I do is administration. Use movie_man added. That's called a personal assistant, no? OP replied, "It's more than that, but that's a part of it. Yes, a personal assistant. Also, yes, office assistant, as in I'm the only one that works specifically in that office, and I handle all administration tasks, including the personal ones." Contact knows 7,201 comments. I had a similar with a small business partner who pulled all sorts of petty things, from saying they didn't make any phone calls 1 month so didn't want to pay their half of the phone bill, flat fee, no call charges, to not wanting to pay their half of the electricity bill as I used my laptop longer than she did. You get the idea. We decided to part ways a year after setting up. She wanted half the cost of things we bought, such as coffee cups, a kettle, an area rug, curtains, etc. So instead of giving her cash, I gave her half the area rug, cut it in half, the top of the kettle, I kept the electric base, half of the now chipped coffee cups, and half of each curtain. Completely useless. OP replied, "You know, about 2 years later, I lamented to my boss that I didn't take the list literally like you did. One of the things requested was half of the ice cream containers. I only thought about it later and realized that I should have cut them all in half. Your pettiness, however, warms my heart just as much. Knowing what I know now about life, I was a miserable 23-year-old back then, I would absolutely do the same now. 0 Fs are given," or Jack of all memes commented. "Cutting them in half might be seen as destroying them legally." OP replied, "Definitely. I'm glad I didn't do it. But after the 2 years of hell she put him and his business and me through, property destruction did cross my mind more than once. She still tries to be a bitch every so often, but the buffer of not seeing her and having to deal with courts and her makes her occasional stupidity a bit more bearable." Lonely_lifeguard_811 asked, "What about the ex gets all the containers, but not the lids?" OP replied, "So we did that. She wanted half of the Tupperware drawer. Nothing is more specific than that. So we took all the good containers and left her all the mismatched nonsense that most Tupperware drawers tend to collect. Boy, was she mad about that. But she couldn't do anything because she hadn't been specific about what she wanted." Bra3, R Darkness commented, "I expected you to cut the things literally in half, but that would have hurt your boss as well. So excellent job." OP replied, "She is absolutely the person who would have gone to court claiming he violated all sorts of orders if I had done that. I can't say I didn't definitely think about it. But being technically correct and technically following the court order as it was written was the best pettiness I could offer. Besides, knowing it burns her arse all these years later, she is still salty over 2 cooking pots and a glass measuring jug, FFS, is what keeps me warm at night." Adriana Allison commented, "My recent ex can out-petty this. To be fair, I divided up all the belongings equally, ensuring that we both had enough for our new lives. Towels, dish towels, cutlery, pots, and pans. Even gave him the best of everything. He then proceeded to dump all the linens on the floor, put the box full of kitchen goods out to the road, and throw away half each of 2 sets of sheets, 1 rose and 1 black. Following that, he moved his TV and said he'd be back the next evening with a crew of people to get his large stuff. He left me waiting all evening, and he never showed up. He just left all his stuff and me changing the locks at 10:30 p.m. OP replied, "I'm sorry you went through that. If it's any consolation, once everything is finalized and you have some true distance from the situation, it will get better."
Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe to Reddit Dirt for more stories.